What will you say on that day? There will be no excuse for your blasphemy and for your mocking. No excuse, but I'm telling you today that Christ can set you free. Christ can set you free. 5 years ago, Christ saved my soul. I was in sin, in the midst of sin. I was drinking and smoking, addicted to pornography. From the age of 12, I began with all of these sins. Drinking, smoking, from 5th grade on. I grew up in a broken home. My parents were drug addicts. They separated when I was 4. My dad beat my mom. I know what it's like to grow up in a hard environment. I grew up in East Dallas. I want to tell you though, that none of it's an excuse. None of it's an excuse. Your life is not an excuse for you today to not seek God. I tell you the gospel has been extended to you today. It's been extended to you over and over, hundreds of times throughout your life. You've grown up in America, you have heard a gospel message. And what's going to be your excuse when you stand before God and you find that it was all true? Every word of it was true. You will have no excuse. Jesus said, after he had sent out his apostles to preach in the cities round about Jerusalem, and they came back and these cities had not repented after hearing the gospel message. And he said, "Oh, Capernaum, thou art lifted up to heaven in thy pride, but thou shalt be brought down to hell. It shall be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than it is for you." You see, what he's saying there is Sodom and Gomorrah did not have the preaching of the gospel, but yet God rained hell from heaven on them and destroyed them in an overthrow of fire. God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and they didn't have a Bible. They didn't have the crucified Son of God bearing testimony to them. How much more bearable will it be for them on that day than it is for you, who have heard tons and tons of gospel verses and gospel messages over and over throughout all the years. And they're going to bear testimony to you in that last day. They're going to stand up and rise up against you and bear testimony before God against you. Against you. Every verse you've heard will come ringing back into the corridors of your heart, and you'll remember them, and you'll grieve, and you'll mourn before God, but it will be too late, because that day there is no mercy. Today is the day of mercy. Today is the day of salvation. Christ is enthroned today in mercy. In mercy. But on that day, that last day, the Bible teaches that Christ will arise from the throne of mercy. He will arise, and he will be seated at the judgment seat. He will be seated enthroned in judgment. And every day of your life that you have rejected will come back in your mind, and you'll remember that there was a preacher in Union Square, July 4th, 2009. That preacher warned me of the coming judgment, but I refused it, and I trampled under my feet the blood of God's own Son. I tell you, God so loved the world, he sent his own Son. None of you know that kind of love. To send your own Son. To send your own Son to a land full of your enemies, knowing that they'll kill you. And they'll kill your Son. They'll know. He knew, God knew that he was sending his Son to a land full of enemies that were going to kill him. But do you understand that love? Do you understand the love of God manifested and displayed in Jesus Christ? In Jesus Christ was displayed the full love of God. But you can't even comprehend that love. You can't comprehend that love. I tell you the truth. You can't comprehend the sacrifice of Christ. It wasn't even all that God so loved the world that he sent his own Son, but God so loved the human race that he denied deity. He laid down his right of glory and became a man. The Bible teaches in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, that God made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. God made his own Son, perfect deity, to be sin for us, even though he knew no sin, for the express purpose of us being made the righteousness of God.